Hey there, Prairie Plant Girl here. Today I'm out in my greenhouse. It's the very end of March. As you can see, we've gotten a bunch more snow. Just yesterday we had, I don't know, wow, about this much snow. So a lot of snow for the end of March, but not uncommon here in Saskatchewan, Canada. As I shoveled that snow, I was dreaming of spring and all the wonderful things I'm going to be growing in my garden this year. So I thought I would come on here and let you know my plans for the plants that I'm going to be starting as far as vegetables go, indoors or even possibly out in my garden in April. I have my list here. This is my veggies calendar for April. And it's going to be somewhat repetitive because I'm going to be starting a lot of my brassicas, and I'll be starting them every couple of weeks so that I have a good supply of brassicas going hopefully throughout most of the season. There will be a little bit of repetition to my planting as far as vegetables go this year, so I won't be bringing you along for all of the planting that I do, but I'll bring you along for some of it. One of the first things that I'm going to be I had planned to be doing in my garden for the very beginning of April was setting up hoops in my garden beds. So you can see the raised beds behind me there outside. I had been planning on setting up some low tunnels or hoops over two of the beds. And that was always in my plans as weather permitting kind of a thing. It looks like it's going to be pushed off probably at least till the end of the week. I will get it done, but we need to get this snow to melt so I can find all the places to connect things and get I use pipes to make the hoops, and they're laying on the ground behind my shed buried in snow right now. So that will happen, but maybe not as early as I'd hoped. The reason I want to get those hoops set up is that I can start some of my cool weather crops just a little bit earlier. Some of my like spinach and some of my brassicas could be going out in that. So I have my garden plan made up, and I just have photocopied sheets with all the garden beds drawn out, and then each year I just write in what I want to grow in each bed to try and plan my garden that way, and to help me to kind of look back over the years to try and do a little bit of rotation. I don't get really hung up on rotating my crops because I just don't have enough space to do perfect rotation, but I do try to move things around a little bit, especially if I've seen some diseases or insect problems. I try as best I can for that. So I was hoping to get my beets, my kale, my lettuce, my spinach, and some radishes under one of those hoops early. And then, like I said, my brassicas and maybe a bit more lettuce and spinach in another bed. So once I can get those hoops up, then we'll start worrying about that. But in the meantime, I can be planting some of those things early inside and getting nice starts going to put out under those hoops once the weather warms up and the ground is warmed from the hoops being there. The first week of April, I will be planting some of my herbs inside just to get those going. Basil, parsley, cumin, and then I'll be also starting a couple of kinds of mint and some lemon balm, which is technically, I believe, in the mint family as well. And then that second week of April, I was hoping to start in just some small trays, some cabbage, broccoli, cauliflower, beets, and turnips. And I've been experimenting the last few years in just starting turnips and beets in just really small cell trays and planting them out when they're still quite small. These are not things that are recommended to transplant. It's just something I've been kind of playing around with a little bit. And then I already have a little bit of lettuce and spinach started in the house, and I was hoping to get those planted outside actually in my greenhouse. I have a low bed of soil behind me here, and I was hoping to get that worked up and also have a little low tunnel over it and get some things put in there. So I'll probably still be able to get a low tunnel on that this week, and we'll see how workable the soil is if I really even need that, but that's the plan. The third week of April is when I'll be starting my melons, my watermelon, and my cantaloupe. That gives me about a month of growing them before they go outside. So they'll probably be started towards the end of that week, because that's at 4 weeks before my average last frost date, but I do want to get some good size on them, good growth. I will start those in like a peat pot, something that I don't need to pull them out and really manipulate the roots to get them moved out into the garden, because they don't like a ton of root disturbance, so I find that works well for doing that with those. And then hopefully the brassicas, which I actually started this past week. I don't think I did a video on it, but I have a little bit of broccoli, cauliflower, and cabbage. And hopefully in that third week of April, I'll be able to get those plants that I planted out I think like last week, the last week of March, I'll be able to get those out into a low tunnel outside with any luck if the weather cooperates. Then in that 3 weeks before my average last frost date, which is the kind of second to last week of April there, the last full week of April, I'll be starting my pumpkins and squash. Again, I'll start them in some peat pots that can just be slit down the sides and punked right in the ground. Little less root disturbance that way. And they can just have a little bit of a jump start before they go outside. And then I'll be doing, again, when I have those hoops up, hopefully the soil has warmed up enough and I can be direct sowing some things like lettuce and beets, turnips, kale, spinach, all those kinds of things under one of those hoops. The last week of April, I'll be starting another batch of cabbage, broccoli, cauliflower. So lots of those will get going. And when I'm starting them like this in these successions, I'm only starting a couple of plants of each variety each time. And I'm changing out the varieties a little bit for some that prefer more cool weather, and then some that will prefer more warm weather as we get into the heat, because it heats up quickly here. So I want to try and transition from the more cool, happy crops like that into the ones that can handle the heat a little bit more without bolting. And that last week of April is also when I will start my cucumbers inside. And again, in peat pots so that I can just put them out into the garden once the weather is certainly well free of frost and the soil is nice and warm. So that's my plan for vegetables for April. So come along with me. I'll bring you along for some of those veggie plantings. I won't bring you along for everything. Like I said, some of it's a little repetitive, but I'll definitely bring you for some of them, and we'll get started out in the garden a little bit, hopefully, fingers crossed. You just never quite know here. You could be getting snow again in April, or it could be really warm and we could have a beautiful April that we can be growing things outside in. So thanks for watching. Thanks for following along with my channel, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.